What's going on, guys? Welcome to the Blitz Report. Today I have a 2018 NFL mock draft for you guys. It is number 5. Before we get into that, be sure to leave a like and hit the subscribe button if you haven't yet. The goal is to get to 200 subscribers before 2018, so help me reach my goal. We have a lot of fun here. I do mock drafts, I do scouting reports, I talk about a little bit of NFL news. So I talk about some rumors and stuff that goes around. So if there's anything NFL related that you want me to talk about, drop it in the comment section below and I will get you featured and shouted out on a video. I've done it in the past. I'll continue to do that. I like doing the NFL what if videos. I got some of those here on the channel you can check out later. If you're a female, if you're a lady, and you like football, hit the subscribe button. Say hi in the comment section below. I looked at my YouTube analytics and less than 5% of my views come from the female population. And there is nothing more awesome than a lady who likes football. So say hi in the comment section below. And let's go ahead and jump into this mock draft. At number 1 overall, the Cleveland Browns are going to select Saquon Barkley, running back out of Penn State. Just like last year, they're going to skip out on the quarterback position and they're going to take the best overall player in this draft in Saquon Barkley. At number 2, the New York Giants are going to select Josh Rosen, quarterback out of UCLA. Eli Manning's time in New Jersey is coming to an end. If it's not over, it is very, very close to being over. Now, he might play for another year or 2 or possibly 3 somewhere else, but he's not going to be with the Giants much longer. So we're going to go ahead and get his replacement, the best overall quarterback in this draft. At number 3, we have the Indianapolis Colts on the board, and they need help everywhere. There's not really a position that they don't need aside from the quarterback position. So we're going to give them someone to help protect their quarterback. We're going to give them the best offensive lineman in this draft, and we're going to give them Quentin Nelson, guard out of Notre Dame, who's ready to come in and start moving people out of his way day 1. At number 4 overall, we have the San Francisco 49ers, and we're going to have them selecting Connor Williams, tackle out of the University of Texas. I believe he is the best tackle in this draft. Jimmy Garoppolo is their guy. They're not going to let him walk away in free agency this year. They gave up some draft capital to get him, so now they're sticking to their guns. This is going to be the guy that they're going to move forward with, so we're going to get him some protection up front. Moving on to number 5 overall, we have the Denver Broncos, and they are going to select Sam Darnold, quarterback out of USC. Now, realistically, this isn't a pick that wouldn't happen because when the draft actually gets here, I'm not doing trades in this mock draft. When the draft gets here, somebody's going to trade up to get either this guy or Josh Rosen or Saquon Barkley. Will probably fall because teams are going to be trading up to get the quarterback that they like. But for these purposes, Sam Darnold is going to go at 5 to the Denver Broncos. At number 6 overall, the Cleveland Browns are back on the clock with their pick from the Houston Texans. And again, they're not going to select a quarterback. They're going to take Bradley Chubb, edge rusher out of North Carolina State, best edge rusher in this draft class. And now you're probably thinking I'm crazy because I'm not having them take a quarterback early in the draft when they have the opportunity to. But give DeShone Kizer a chance. He's got weapons on the outside now. Give him a running game, a better offensive line, build a team around him. Because a quarterback, you can ask any analyst, a quarterback has the most growth and development in between years 1 and 2 of their NFL career. And this guy has all the talent in the world. He has all the measurables, the athleticism, the IQ that you want in a quarterback, but he needs to work on his mechanics, and he can do that. He can fix it. Give him a chance, build a team around him, and just take the best talent possible you can get. And imagine this, Myles Garrett on one side, Bradley Chubb on the other side, blitzing quarterbacks for the next 4 years at least. That is going to be a nightmare for quarterbacks and offensive lines to face week in and week out as long as both of those guys are healthy. And even if one goes down, you still got a premier pass rusher on one side of the line anyway. Now, I almost gave Bradley Chubb to the Colts, but he doesn't really fit their system. Bradley Chubb is more of a hand-in-the-dirt edge rusher, 4'3", perfect fit for the Cleveland Browns, not so much for the Colts. So I dropped him back to the Browns because he fits better in that system. Moving on to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. At number 7 overall, I have them selecting Minkah Fitzpatrick. Now, the Bucs have been spending draft picks on defensive secondary, but they just can't seem to find the right guy to put in there to make plays, and Minkah Fitzpatrick is that guy. You can play him anywhere. You can play him at free safety, strong safety, cornerback on either side, nickelback. He can come down and play in the box. He can basically do anything in the defensive secondary that you need him to do. He has great size, great athleticism. It's going to be a good, fine pick for you guys, and he gives you a lot of depth at other positions given his versatility. At number 8 overall, we have the Chicago Bears, and I have them selecting Orlando Brown, tackle out of the University of Oklahoma. This guy is like running into a brick wall in the run game and also in the pass game as well. Either the brick wall is running into you or you're running into him. You got Mitchell Trubisky. He is going to be your franchise quarterback. He is your future. The coaches and the GM's job is all tied to the success of Mitchell Trubisky. Now, he does need some weapons on the outside, but I didn't see any value in picking a wide receiver at this point just yet. So we're going to get somebody who you can put up front, plug and play immediately as soon as you get him to your facility, and give your quarterback some protection. At number 9, we have the New York Jets, and I have them selecting Josh Allen, quarterback out of Wyoming. This guy, from what I hear about him, I don't know him personally, but from what I hear, he has a very high football IQ. He has the measurables you want, and he's very athletic, but he is a little bit raw in his skill set, so he's going to need some coaching, but the sky is the limit for this guy. He can be your franchise quarterback for years to come. At number 10 overall, we have the Cincinnati Bengals, and I either wanted to give you some offensive line help or maybe some linebacker help, but didn't really see much value there, so I went ahead and gave you the best overall player still available, BPA, and that is Darwin James, safety out of Florida State. Now, I've been scouting a bunch of different positions, and when I scout someone from Florida State, whether it be a defensive tackle or a linebacker or a cornerback, Darwin James always seems to catch my eye. He has great size, great athleticism, and he has a nose for the football. He's going to get you turnovers, so that is great. He can cover wide receivers, which is rare for a safety to be able to do. He can match up with running backs or tight ends and give you an advantage in that matchup. So Darwin James is a good solid pick right here for the Cincinnati Bengals. Moving on, we have the Arizona Cardinals at number 11 overall, and I have them selecting Isaiah Oliver, cornerback out of Colorado. He has great size, very flexible hips, which is very important for the cornerback position. It helps you change directions quickly and stick with wide receivers in and out of their breaks. Be good to pair him across from Patrick Peterson. So that would be a good solid pick for the Cardinals. While I could have given you offensive line help or maybe a quarterback, I didn't really see too much value there. There is some guys left, but I feel like this guy would fit better and fix a bigger need, I guess you could say, because instead of Patrick Peterson just keeping one side of the field completely locked down, Honey Badger and Isaiah Oliver on the other side could do the same thing, or maybe work the middle of the field. Makes a good defense even better, basically, is what I'm trying to say. Next, we have the Oakland Raiders at number 12 overall, and they're going to select Deron Payne, defensive tackle out of Alabama, a very, very big, powerful guy, very athletic, and he's a space eater. He's going to allow your linebackers and your edge rushers to run more freely because he's going to demand double teams on most plays. So, good solid pick there for the Raiders. I could have given you a running back there, but there wasn't really much left, or a cornerback. But, again, there wasn't much value there. So, moving on, we have the Washington Redskins, and the Washington Redskins are going to select Calvin Ridley, wide receiver out of Alabama. He's not got a lot of size, but he's got some speed, he's got some quickness, and he's a very polished route runner. Finally get you somebody who you can depend on. Jordan Reed's a great target, but he always seems to be hurt. Jamison Crowder, fine receiver, but he doesn't have a lot of high-end value. He's about basically at his ceiling is what I'm saying. He's not never going to be a elite receiver, so to speak. Calvin Ridley could be or might not be. He could be. I feel like he could probably get just on the cusp, kind of like a T.Y. Hilton, so to say. Moving on to our next pick, we have the Miami Dolphins, and the Dolphins are going to select Malik Jefferson, linebacker out of the University of Texas. And again, there was a couple of different directions I could have gone with this pick, but think about this: you got to play Gronk twice a year. Malik Jefferson's the best coverage linebacker in this draft. He's going to run a 4.4 or a 4.5, so he has the size and athleticism to keep up with Gronk and cover him in man coverage. Although He's going to need some help as a rookie, but he's going to be a stud for years to come with his athleticism. He can rush the passer, he can stuff the run, he can drop back in the coverage. He's basically a do-it-all linebacker and someone who will really boost your defense. Although you don't specifically have a need, he's not going to do anything but make you guys better. So moving on to the next pick, we have the Buffalo Bills, and they're going to select Baker Mayfield, quarterback out of the University of Oklahoma, because you're not willing to commit to Tyrod Taylor. You're going to get you a good quarterback. Now, while Baker Mayfield doesn't have the exact measurables that you look for in a quarterback, he knows how to win. He's kind of like a Russell Wilson or a Deshaun Watson. You've heard me say that in the past if you've been here a while. He's kind of got that it factor about him. He just knows how to win. So good solid pick for the Bills there. They'll have him a quarterback for years to come. Now they just need to start building around him, and they got more picks to do that with later. So let's move on to the next pick. We have the Dallas Cowboys taking a wide receiver, and they're going to take Cortland Sutton, wide receiver out of SMU, 6'5", 215 pounds, ultra athletic, a little bit raw in his route running, but he is a playmaker. And pair him across from Dez Bryant. That's going to take some pressure off of Dez Bryant. Teams are going to have to account for him. Give Dak Prescott another big target to throw to. Next, we have the Green Bay Packers, and they're going to take Ronnie Harrison, safety out of Alabama. And while I know Minkah Fitzpatrick gets a lot of attention from Alabama, Ronnie Harrison is still very, very good too. He's very good in coverage. He's very physical in the run game. He'll come down and lay a hit on somebody. He's not afraid of contact. This fits a need for the Packers, and it's kind of like the perfect match at this point in the draft. So moving on, we have the Detroit Lions, and the Lions are going to select Uchenna Nwosu, edge rusher / linebacker out of USC. Now this guy is very fast off the edge. He's good in coverage. And one thing I really, really liked about him is his athleticism is on display every play. He goes all out. This guy, I've never seen so many batted passes while scouting a player. While scouting players, I might see 2, 3, 4 at the most. I've probably seen that many in the first 2 scouting tapes I've watched on this guy. He does a great job getting his hands up and batting them passes away and hitting them to the ground. So good solid pick here for the Lions. While I could have went defensive tackle or some offensive line help, I feel like this is a good value pick for you guys. So let's move on to the next pick. We have the LA Chargers selecting Christian Wilkins, defensive tackle out of Clemson. Now there's a lot of guys who like Christian Wilkins better than Daron Payne. They're 2 totally different players. While Daron Payne is more physical and powerful, Christian Wilkins is more finesse, technique, doing his job right. You couldn't go wrong with either one of them, but he fits a need for the Chargers. Good, valuable pick here. A lot of value in getting him this late in the draft. So very solid pick for the Chargers. Moving on, we have the Baltimore Ravens, and the Ravens are going to select Arden Key, edge rusher out of LSU. This guy has all the talent in the world. Before the season ever started, he was projected to be a top 3 pick in this year's draft. Some red flags have popped up, given his attitude, whether or not he wants to play football and do this for his career. But the guy has all the talent in the world, all the potential in the world, and that's why he falls to this point in the draft. If he makes a commitment, I feel like if he does decide to go pro and he makes a commitment, he will stick with it. He will stand by his commitment and do his job and do it to the best of his abilities. So the Ravens are getting a real steal here and getting them some much needed youth at that edge rusher position. Next, we have the Buffalo Bills back on the clock, and this is their pick from the Kansas City Chiefs. With their first pick, they took Baker Mayfield, their future quarterback. With this pick, we're going to get Baker Mayfield's protection up front. We're going to take Mitch Hyatt out of the University of Clemson. He's been a starter there for multiple years. He's a leader along that offensive line. While he doesn't have the exact measurables that you're looking for in an offensive tackle, he's like Baker Mayfield. He knows how to win. Bradley Chubb, the best overall edge rusher in this draft, said Mitch Hyatt was the toughest, hardest to get by offensive tackle that he's ever played in college football. So that's really saying something about him. That's a really good recommendation there. So let's go on to the next pick. We have the Atlanta Falcons. They're going to select Vita V out of Washington. Very big, powerful defensive tackle. He's kind of like a mixture of Daron Payne. He's not as physical and as strong as Daron Payne and Christian Wilkins, whose speed, finesse, technique. He's not as good at that as Christian Wilkins, but he's kind of like the middle. He's kind of like both worlds. You get both worlds with this guy. He fits the needs for the Falcons. Very solid player. And again, those three defensive tackles, you can rank them in any order and still be all right. That's just how I have them ranked. So moving on to the Tennessee Titans, my team, we're going to take Rashaan Evans, linebacker out of Alabama. While Malik Jefferson is the most athletic, best coverage linebacker, Rashaan Evans is the most well-rounded linebacker, I guess you could say. So good solid pick for the Titans. Get them some youth in that front seven and some depth that they definitely need. So let's move on to the next pick. We have the Seattle Seahawks on the clock, and they're going to select Mike McGlinchey, offensive tackle out of Notre Dame. And now you're probably again thinking, man, you're crazy. Why have you got Mike McGlinchey falling this far in the draft? And the answer to that is, I think he's going to. Yes, he's got all the measurables that you see that you need in an offensive tackle, but he lacks athleticism. He needs to work on his footwork, and he struggles against speed rushers off the edge. So I don't see him as the best offensive tackle in this draft. I see him as more of a late first-round talent given his measurables. So for that reason, he's going to fall to the Seattle Seahawks. Still a solid pick. He's got a good punch. He's not a bad offensive tackle, but he's got a lot he needs to work on, basically. So moving on to the next pick, we have the Carolina Panthers, and they're going to select Clelin Ferrell, defensive end out of Clemson. Again, this guy is a perfect scheme fit for Carolina. He's better with he plays standing up occasionally, but he's better with his hand in the dirt. He's got the better body type for his hand in the dirt to come off the edge rushing. Very, very powerful man. As you can see, he's built very solid, very strong, very powerful, and the Panthers, they need some youth at that edge rusher position. So moving on, we have the LA Rams, and the Rams are going to select Denzel Ward, cornerback out of Ohio State. He's a small guy, but he's very good in coverage. He's sticky to his man. He's going to have trouble with bigger receivers when they throw them 50-50 passes if he doesn't have some safety help over the top, but he's going to be able to stick with them and at least make it somewhat of a challenge. I predict he's probably going to run in the 4.3s and the 40 at the combine. Very, very fast, very, very quick dude. So moving on to the Jacksonville Jaguars, I have them selecting Lamar Jackson out of Louisville. And again, that's another thing I always tend to do. I always want to say Lamar Miller because I think of the running back, but I'm saying Lamar Jackson out of Louisville, quarterback. And now you're probably thinking, again, I'm crazy. But from notable sources around the league, from actual NFL scouts, from what I've been able to dig up and look and find and research, there's a lot of scouts who have day 2 grades on this guy, which means he's either they see him as a second-round talent or a third-round talent. But we're going to go ahead for the Jacksonville Jaguars and pick him up at the end of the first, and we might sign someone like Eli Manning, Kirk Cousins, Tyrod Taylor out of free agency and let this guy sit for a year and groom him behind them. But at this point in the draft, we're going to go ahead and pull the trigger on him because we don't have a lot of needs elsewhere. We have the best defense in the league. We could use some offensive line help, but there's not a whole lot of value here at this point. So we're going to go ahead and take us a quarterback that hopefully we can groom and take over the team and win some Super Bowls with. So moving on to the next pick, at 28 overall, we have the New Orleans Saints, and they're going to take Harold Landry, edge rusher out of Boston College. Now this guy's going to need to gain some size for the NFL, but he is very, very fast coming off the edge. His speed and his hand usage is what makes him so hard to block. New Orleans finally has a good defense. This guy's going to make it better and provide some depth there. You could use a quarterback to eventually replace Drew Brees, maybe a wide receiver, but instead I'm going to go ahead and give you some defensive help who can come in and contribute right away. Moving on to the Minnesota Vikings at 29 overall, we're going to take DeForest McFadden, cornerback out of Florida State. Now you got Xavier Rhodes on one side who does an awesome job, but really your only need on your team at this point is a cornerback to play across from him, because that is where you keep getting burnt at. DeForest McFadden can step in and fill that role and provide you with solid cornerback play on the other side of the field, which is something that is basically the only thing that you guys are lacking at this point. Maybe some youth at linebacker as well to play across from Anthony Barr, but we can address that later on in the draft. Moving on to number 30 overall, we have the New England Patriots, and they're going to select Mason Rudolph, quarterback out of Oklahoma State. Again, you're probably thinking I'm crazy because this guy ain't going top 15 pick, but just like Lamar Jackson, from the research I've been able to dig up from NFL scouts all around, is that this guy they got day 2 grades on him. So picking him up at this point in the draft is great. Let him sit behind Tom Brady for a year, and maybe he can develop into a very good starting quarterback for years to come. And who better to groom him than Tom Brady and Bill Belichick? Great duo there. I'm sorry I'm starting to lose my voice, but that's okay. We're going to finish this thing out, and we're almost there. At number 31 overall, we have the Philadelphia Eagles, and the Eagles are going to select Equanimus St. Brown, wide receiver out of Notre Dame. It's very rare that this guy goes in the first round, but he's going to in this draft. He's 6'5". He runs great routes. He has a lot of speed for the position. Give Carson Wentz another big target to throw to when he comes back. Alshon Jeffrey on one side, this guy on the other side, and then Nelson Aguilar in the slot. Good duo of wide receivers there. Very, very helpful there. Again, you don't have a lot of needs. Maybe I could have gave you a linebacker at this spot, or maybe some youth at the offensive line position, but we're going to give you someone who can come in and contribute right away. At number 32 overall, we have the Pittsburgh Steelers, and the Pittsburgh Steelers are going to select Taven Bryan out of the University of Florida. This guy has really been picking up and coming on hot towards the second half of the season. I've seen him compared to players like J.J. Watt even, so that's kind of crazy to think about. You've already got one good defensive tackle in the scheme you play. This guy fits your scheme. He's physical, he's aggressive, he's fast off the line. He's going to come in and contribute right away. Now, I could have gave you a cornerback, or maybe a safety, or maybe even a quarterback to replace Ben Roethlisberger, but there just isn't any value at this point in the draft. But anyways, guys, that's my 2018 NFL mock draft number 5. Be sure to leave a comment. Let me know what you think. This one's quite a bit different than the ones I've done in the past. I based it more off of research from what I've seen of other teams. So be sure to leave a like, hit the subscribe button, help us to get to 200, and have a great day, guys.